Hey English 102 students, welcome to week 11 of our course. So we're just a few weeks away from the end of the semester. Spring is in the air, things are changing, warmer weather is coming soon. So we're about 3/4 of the way there, I would say. And we're making good progress toward our end goal of the final problem solution research report, and we're going to make some more progress toward that this week. So looking at our course calendar, we'll just go ahead and pull that up. Okay, and we're going to head down into weeks 10 and 11. So this week you worked on finding some annotated bibliographies in your topic areas. And I think this is a really simple but a very helpful research exercise to do because it shows you what lots of other people are saying about your topic, and it shows you that there are lots of potential resources that you can use to research a topic. So even when you get into another class, another Lander class later on where you need to do a research project, or any other class that you're taking somewhere else, you're going to see that in addition to searching in library databases or searching in the online book catalog or Bearcat search or let's say Google Scholar databases, all those different resources, that you also have this opportunity to go into just a regular Google search and check annotated bibliographies that have already been compiled in your topic area, and you can piggyback or kind of borrow on what other people have already done to research your topic area. So this class is really meant to introduce you to all the many possibilities that you can use. And it's also a good idea when you're looking for annotated bibliographies, if your topic is pretty specific, which I encourage you to be specific because that makes your topic all the more interesting for you and for your readers. The great thing about bibliographies too is that you can search even a little more generally. So let's say I'm going to use a topic that a few of you are working on in this class. If you happen to be doing mental toughness in sports, let's say you might be focusing on your one specific sport, and that's what you're going to write about in your project, but you can research the same topic in other sports, or you can just research the topic of mental toughness in athletics in general, and you can take some of those sources and apply it to your specific area. So even though your topic might be really specific, it's okay to broaden your search a little bit too. In addition to staying specific, you can take from both sides. Okay, so this week I gave you lots of feedback on the draft part 1 of your critical response essay. That was basically the introduction paragraph and 1 or 2 summary paragraphs. So please take a look at that feedback. I tried to give you lots to work with, both editing, grammar editing kind of comments, and also content-based comments. Make sure you're looking out for things like that you have a thesis statement in your introduction. So you might have included the thesis or the main argument of the author that you're evaluating, but you might not have added your thesis statement. So what is your perspective of the article you're reviewing? Do you agree or disagree with the author's ideas? What are the strengths or weaknesses of the arguments that they've made? Are they missing anything in their argument that you think they should have included? Do you think they could have added in other sources that would have made their argument even stronger? Or are there certain aspects of the arguments in the article that you think really stood out as effective, and why do you think so? So it's up to you to be the evaluator of this article. Instead of thinking, oh my God, how do I put this all together? You're the one making the judgment on this article. Think of yourself almost like a movie reviewer or a restaurant reviewer, or even a professor if you like. What kind of critique would you give to this article? You have the power to do that in this essay. Okay, so look carefully at those comments from draft part 1. Make as many good revisions as you can as we move into this coming week. So this week you actually were adding draft part 2 and making revisions to draft part 1. After you submit these 2 parts combined, so you're going to be putting part 1 and part 2 together. Keep what you've got in part 1. Now in part 2, it's your response. This is where you're going to take what you said in your thesis and you're going to expand on that. Give your reasons for thinking what you think about the author's arguments in this article. So look back at that thesis. Basically, the last 2 sentences in your introduction should be the preview to parts 1 and part 2. The author's main ideas and arguments go in part 1. The summary, you're summarizing what that author said. In part 2 is where you're going to explain your thesis. Okay, so what is your perspective on this article? Now you're going to expand and explain those reasons. And you're going to put it all together, and that's basically going to be your first full draft of this essay. So what you submit tonight, and this is Sunday, March 21st, what you submit by tonight is going to be basically the first complete draft of your entire critical response essay. So early this week, just like I did last week, I'm going to look through parts 1 and part 2 combined. I'll probably put most of my comments in part 2, but I'll still look through part 1 and make sure that you revised what you needed to revise. And then what you're going to do is take my feedback from both parts, and by next Sunday, you are going to create the best possible version of your final critical response essay. And you're going to submit that by next Sunday, March 28th. That's the only thing I want you to work on this week, period. I don't want you to do anything else, and because that's going to give you plenty to do, looking at all that feedback and making sure that you've incorporated it well to create this effective final product. Okay. So yes, by next Sunday, you'll submit that, and that's going to be in the Module 6 folder. So we'll go ahead into My Classroom and down to our modules area, and we'll make sure you know where all the links are that you need for submitting everything. Okay, so you'll see down here at the bottom of the Module 6 folder, you had the first link here where you uploaded draft part 1. By tonight, you'll be uploading draft part 2, and by next Sunday, you'll be uploading the final version of this. Okay, now moving into next week, I know it's not due until April 4th, but I still do want to give you kind of a sneak peek or preview of what's coming up a little bit later. Before we do that, let's go ahead and look at the week 11 video code, and that is spring, all in capital letters, 3 exclamation points, because I really love the change in seasons. It makes everybody happy. We see blossoms on the trees, the sun is shining, and the weather is getting warmer. So let's reflect that in our video code. And you've got the this symbol here. So that's going to be the code that you'll enter into the Google Doc that I'll attach in this week's announcement, and that'll earn you a point of extra credit. Okay, so going back over here to our modules, we're going to take a look in Module 7. And that's going to take us to the next major project, which is the annotated bibliography. So Module 7 is synthesizing research. And what do I mean by synthesizing research? Synthesizing is kind of putting everything together and making everything work together in a way that makes sense. If you remember back to assignment 4.4 from Module 4, this was the research notes assignment where you had 3 research questions across the top, and you had 6 different sources that answered those questions to varying degrees. That's synthesis. That's synthesizing the research questions you have and the sources that you were finding at that time. Now you can go back and look at those research notes. You're going to be thankful that you have them now, because that's really going to help you with this next project, which is the annotated bibliography. So let's go ahead and look at Module 7. Okay, and in Module 7, you already did annotated bibliographies as research, so you've already spent a little bit of time in Module 7, and the video from last week is here. Okay, but the next thing that will be due in this module folder is the actual annotated bibliography. So if we go ahead and download this, you'll see what this assignment is all about. Okay, so the first part of this guidelines document just explains to you what an annotated bibliography is. If you've never done one before, It's a list of sources, just like a works cited or a references page. And keep in mind, works cited is MLA style, references is APA style. Make sure you choose one or the other. Don't mix styles within the same document. And I did mention that in an announcement I sent out to you in the middle of this past week. Okay, so it depends on which format you're choosing. If you're going to do an MLA style bibliography, it's works cited. If it's APA, it's references. Okay, so in either type of bibliography, you are going to be summarizing, assessing, and reflecting on the sources that you've chosen. So summarizing just means you're looking at the main arguments, kind of like you're doing with the critical response essay, just on a somewhat smaller scale. Okay, if you were to describe this article to somebody or this source to somebody, what would you tell them about it? So put it into your own words. You're going to be assessing your source. How valuable is it in your research project? Is it biased? Is it objective? What is the goal of this source? How useful will it be to you? And then you'll reflect on it. How does it fit into your overall research project? How helpful is it to you? How does it shape your argument? Has it changed the way you've thought about your topic? Could you even relate it to another topic within your list of sources? Okay. And so why should you write an annotated bibliography? The first reason is simply to learn more about your topic and to collect good sources that you can use in your final project. So you will be learning about your topic, and you can read through that a little bit more on your own. Bibliographies are also written to help other researchers and extend your own research. That's why I had you do assignment 7.1, because I wanted you to do this yourself. Other people have written bibliographies. You can benefit from those, and you should. And other people might be able to benefit from your bibliography. So that's the other main reason why this is a really helpful assignment. So what do you need to do in your bibliography? You need a total of 6 sources. So if you look back to assignment 4.4, the research notes assignment, you might already have some sources there, and you've already taken some basic notes on those sources. Now that can go into your annotations. So in your bibliography, every source is made up of a citation and an annotation. The annotation is where you summarize, reflect, and assess. And so take those notes, put them in your own words, and use that to describe your sources. Okay, so you'll be writing an annotated bibliography on the topic you've been researching throughout the semester in preparation for your final research paper. Even the article that you're reviewing for the critical response essay could be a source in your annotated bibliography. It's fine to do that. Your bibliography needs to include 6 source entries, and here are the requirements. So 1 has to be an article from an academic or scholarly journal. You'll find those in databases. 1 well-researched newspaper article. Okay, and if you look in the table below, I give you lots of examples of some sources you could begin with. 1 in-depth article from a reputable magazine, and then 3 other credible and scholarly sources of your choosing. It could be a book, an ebook, a book chapter, and if you're using a book, don't feel obligated to summarize the entire book. You can just look at the section of the book that's most useful to you. 1 chapter is fine. You could do a documentary film. You could do a blog post, a TED Talk, or a website from a credible organization or author. Okay, this chart below, just like for the critical response essay, this gives you some ideas of different sources you could use in your bibliography. So take a look at what you've got already in assignment 4.4 and think about some of those that you might use. And a lot of times students ask if this is, the end-all be-all list of sources that you include in your final research project. It doesn't have to be. Okay, so you might have your 6 sources in this bibliography, but by the time you get to writing your final paper, you might discover 1 or 2 of them aren't as useful as you thought they were going to be, and that's fine. You can drop those and replace them with 2 other sources that are better for you. You can add sources to this list. This is a flexible, fluid process. The research process, it's going to change and go here and go there all the way until you get to your final research paper. Even the night before you write your final research paper, you still might find another source that you decide to include at the end. So don't feel like this list of 6 sources is the only list that you can choose from. Okay? It's definitely flexible. Okay, so the organization of your bibliography. You're going to have citation information for each source, and I'll show you a template of this in just a minute so you know what the bibliography should actually look like. So each of your 6 sources is going to have citation information in either MLA 8 or MLA or APA 7 guidelines, whichever style you choose. Just choose one and stay consistent with it. The sources are going to be in alphabetical order, and you'll have the annotation for each of your sources, which is about 100 to 125 words, and that's where you'll summarize the content of the source, assess how reliable, credible it is as an academic source, and reflect on how it fits into your research. Okay, sample bibliographies. I've attached a couple back in the Module 7 folder. I'll show those to you in just a minute. There's also a good set of information at Purdue OWL here that'll show you some other example annotations if you want to take a look at those. This assignment is due on Sunday, April 4th in the Module 7 folder. And as far as drafts with the other essays, the curiosity essay, the critical response essay, we did those in drafts. With this assignment, we're not going to have a first draft. You'll just submit your assignment on the 4th, and that will be it. You'll still get feedback on it, of course. And don't forget about the 1-day extension that you can request to submit an essay or writing assignment. If you're feeling like it's a crazy week and things are a little bit stressed and you've got a lot of assignments that you've got to take care of, you can always request that extension and you get an extra day to submit your work. Okay, the grading is going to be with a more specific rubric, the annotated bibliography rubric, which is over there in Module 7. And in fact, it's probably in the course documents folder. So let's go ahead and take a look at that really quick so you know where to find that. I might have originally planned on putting it in Module 7 and put it over here instead. So yeah, I've actually got the link for it here and I just need to attach it. So I'll go ahead and attach that and you'll see that by the time you come to see this video. So your annotated bibliography rubric will be here, and that's going to include all the elements that you should have to have a successful annotated bibliography. And back over to Module 7. Okay, you'll see also attached are 2 templates, a template for an MLA annotated bibliography and an APA. So let's take a look at the MLA first. Okay, so this gives you exactly how your document should look when you set it up. Okay, you've got all the elements you need here on the left side of your page. The header is already set up here for you. All you have to do is replace it with your last name. You've got your topic, the potential thesis statement that you're planning on including in your final research project. You've got annotated bibliography as the title. And as we scroll down, you'll see how each of the annotations should look. So here is the citation itself, and the paragraph that comes underneath is the annotation. Okay? And it just explains, as you'll see in the template, it's basically a summary, an assessment of that source, and a reflection on it. Okay, underneath you'll see it continues on the same way. So you've got your citation formatted with a hanging indent, and then the paragraph underneath is indented over to line up with the hanging indented line, and that paragraph is also indented. So follow the format that you see here. This would be the correct one for an MLA annotated bibliography, and you'll have your 6 sources that you're going to be including there. All right, now let's take a quick look at the APA version. I know a couple of students are working with APA in this class, so we definitely want to make sure we see both styles. In an APA annotated bibliography, you're going to have a cover page that has the title in bold of the topic that you're researching. You have your page number up in the upper right corner, which is just a page number, no last name. You have all the information here, your name, the course number, the professor, the date, etc. You've got the title, the topic title here again in annotated bibliography in bold, and you have your citation information in APA style, and then the paragraph goes underneath. It's lined up with the hanging indent, and you don't have any indentation for that paragraph. So if you're doing APA, this is exactly the format that you will follow. Okay, so that will allow you to set up either the MLA or the APA version of your annotated bibliography. So you've got all the materials that you need there to put that annotated bibliography together. Don't forget to consult assignment 4.4 to help you get this started. You might have some really good sources there that you could use for this assignment. You're just basically going to be expanding on the notes that you've included in that assignment and adding on to it anything that you didn't include in assignment 4.4, and you're putting it together in a format where you're already going to have all your citations completed. You're already going to know what your sources are about, so you're going to know exactly how you should incorporate those into your final research project. You'll find that this is going to be a very helpful assignment to have completed at this point in the semester, because when you go to draft the first version of your final research project, let's go back to our calendar, that's going to be like 3 weeks from now, you're already going to have so much completed. You're going to have your works cited or your APA references list, maybe half or 2/3 of the way finished already. You're going to know your sources. You're going to know what kind of information they contain and how you want to use them. So that will be very helpful to you at that point. Okay, so for this week, the main thing you should focus on is the final version of your critical response once you get the feedback back from me early this week, and then you'll move on to your annotated bibliography. So this was just meant to give you a preview of that so that, if you are done with your critical response essay and you're ready to move on to that bibliography, you already know what to do. Okay, so that's everything for this week. I hope you all have a great week, and any questions, concerns, anything you need from me, don't hesitate to get in touch. See you all in week 12.